Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe Muro. And now, here's Zoe.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the New Thought Media Network. My name is Zoe Muro, and I am delighted and honored to be your host for Choice, your creative superpower, coming to you from Oakland, California, each Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 noon Mountain Time. And what do we do here? We explore how you can wield your superpower for the greatest good as you co-create your life experience. If you're coming back, so good to see you here again. And if this is your first time, welcome to the show. I'm a religious science practitioner with the New Thought Media Network, and I'm also a transformational coach. My ministry as a practitioner and my mission as a coach are to help people live their lives to the fullest. Today, in episode 43, we'll be exploring the relationship between choice and presence. No, not gifts. The other presence. Well, actually, we'll get into that later. I'd like to look at presence, both in terms of our own presence in the various forms it can take in our daily lives, as well as presence with a capital P, the divine presence. By the way, while I am well aware that I'm presenting this on the New Thought Media Network, I'm also conscious of the fact that a number of people who watch this show and who come to the network for other shows and all that we offer find substance and benefits here, whether they are aligned with the philosophy of New Thought or not. So I always endeavor to make these episodes as accessible as possible for everyone. All right, now, let's start with a very specific focus on presence by looking at a dictionary definition. But since the primary definition of presence is the fact or condition of being present, it would make sense to look at the word present first. So here's a short version. Now existing or in progress, in view or at hand, existing in something mentioned or under consideration. So presence then can be an actual person or a thing that is present, or it's the bearing, the way a person presents themselves, distinguished, poised, or attentive, for example. And then there's something such as a spirit felt or believed to be present, as in, I can sense a presence, which obviously will be applicable when we get into a more metaphysical discussion a little bit later. But I want to start with this right now. What does it mean to be present? How do our choices affect our ability to be present? And then, how does our being present affect our choices? If you've taken any classes, worked for a corporation, belonged to an organization of any kind, you've likely received a message of some sort letting you know that your presence at some event would be appreciated or is required, with the former being a choice and the latter, perhaps not so much. So our choice was likely predicated on our weighing the benefits of our presence against the expenditure of time, money, energy, etc. If we're invited to attend an occasion say a wedding, a celebration, a graduation, a social gathering, the basis for making our choice might very well be similar to the previous example, or it might be based on a relationship. That is, our presence at a close friend's wedding or social gathering would likely be more important to us, and presumably the other parties involved, than that of a casual acquaintance. Now, this is going to tie in very nicely to another aspect of presence and additional choices as well. So, have you ever attended something, choosing to do so, but while you were physically there, your mind or your heart were elsewhere? Physical presence does not equate to emotional presence, which is another choice in and of itself, and one that comes with requirements. It requires attentiveness, openness, sometimes vulnerability, perhaps compassion. We're really talking about how being emotionally present can be something very special. In fact, one of the greatest gifts that we can give one another is our presence, our true and attentive presence. See, I told you that would come back around again. Whether it's having a conversation, enjoying a meal, listening to a story, sharing a sadness or a joy, a genuine presence is a delight for all who are truly engaged. I remember receiving an invitation to a party that said, "Please don't bring us any presents, because your presence is our present." On the opposite end of the presence spectrum, choosing to be physically present, but not emotionally or intellectually present, or being inattentive, that should tell you something, perhaps something very important. At the very least, it should prompt questioning as to why we would choose to attend at all. One of the more common examples of this is the compromise. We need the air quotes for that. I don't really want to go to where you want me to go, but I'm going to go anyway. And then once I get there, I'm going to mope and I'm going to be distant. I'm going to be curmudgeonly. That is not a compromise. No more than saying, I want to go to place A, and someone else says, well, I want to go to place B. And so the compromise is they go to place Z, and neither one of them really wanted to be there in the first place. Also, not a compromise. In all seriousness, sometimes being present only physically could speak to a much bigger issue. Those of us who have survived sexual abuse, for example, may find it difficult to be in our bodies during what is meant to be an intimate moment. I know for myself and a number of people I've counseled over the years, this is something to be addressed for your greatest good. If you find yourself in this situation, please do seek help. It most certainly can allow you to live a much richer life. And there's nothing bad about reaching out for that help, and there's nothing wrong with you for needing to do so. What you are doing is nurturing yourself. What you are doing is what you need to live a more fulfilling life. If you need help finding resources, finding support, please email me. I'll be happy to assist you. There are many organizations and many counselors who would be very, very happy to help you be fully present in your own life. This leads me to another point about presence. What we typically refer to as being in the moment. As much as I want to say doing so, that is, being in the moment is a choice, let me also say that it can be a process. Or maybe if it's even more appropriate to say that it can be a learned skill. Kind of depends on your experiences and your starting point. And as I've discovered, it might have a lot to do with culture. It might have a lot to do with your age. And what feels to me, the old guy that I am, to be an incredibly fast-paced, high-tech world, I personally find it very challenging at times to be in the moment with all the distractions and competing sources available to me right at my fingertips. You know, I'll open up my computer to read an email, and then, oh, look, there's a text. Oh, and another. Oh, and there's a sale. Oh, and it's got a deadline on it. And then I find myself sliding into social media, or even worse, videos of puppies hugging ducklings, or whatever brings a smile to my face as the minutes tick by ever so quickly. What I refer to as going down the rabbit hole. If there is one thing that is the absolute antithesis of presence, it's multitasking. And for those of you who pride yourself on multitasking, let me just point out that from a neurologic perspective, there literally is no such thing as multitasking. Our brains are not capable of that type of parallel processing, right? What we're actually doing is starting and stopping. And people who are very good at quote unquote multitasking are actually very good at recall. So what they're able to do is sort of put a bookmark and then come back to it as they need to. All right. But the reality of it is, what you're doing is shortchanging a moment. Now, if you're doing this for a work purpose, there might very well be an important reason to do that. I'm fine with that. But if it becomes a part of your absolute daily life, it becomes a part of how you work in the world, how you appear in the world, you might want to take a look at that. For example, you sit down to a meal with family or friends, and out come the phones. And there goes the moment. Considering how many sources of information and communication that we have available to us now, and most likely ever increasing, it most certainly is a choice each of us gets to make if we wish to ensure that we can be present to the moment, to those around us, to ourselves. I'm just going to take a look over here and see who's shown up. Yes, indeed, Jim. Choice. I very do specifically consider it to be a superpower, most certainly. Hi, Shay. Good to see you once again. Shay's going to have a show on the New Thought Media Network very soon. So hope you look forward to that. All right. Let me see. Where am I? Okay. So we were talking about the importance of actually being present. But there's another aspect of this I want to talk about. Years ago, when I was teaching my kids the value of money, I would give them an allowance for their daily needs, things like bus fare or lunch at school, stuff like that. And I also gave them the opportunity to earn money for the extra things they wanted. So they learned to save, plan. They learned the value of time. I mention this now because one of the best ways that I can be in the moment is to be cognizant of time. We each get the same 24 hours in a day, the same 60 minutes in an hour. Being present means being able to spend that precious time wisely, creatively, positively, responsibly. Responsibly meaning we are able to respond, to connect, to relate to what is at hand. How we spend our time, how and when and where we choose to be present is ours to decide. As always, always have to put in the disclaimer, as always, we may not have control over the circumstances or conditions that we face, but we can choose how we act and react to them. Being present in a time of sadness, being present in a time of pain might seem counterintuitive, but it is important. It is valuable. It is part of life. We can't hide and we can't ignore reality. Okay. Another consideration. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a palpable energy, whether you deemed it to be positive or negative? Did you feel welcome? Did you feel rejected? Did you feel invisible? Okay. Either of those either of those experiences are examples of choice that you made regarding presence. You chose to be receptive. You chose how you evaluated what you received. You chose, you then had the opportunity to choose how you would respond. Doing these things from a conscious level makes a very big difference in our ability to be present. It makes a very big difference in our ability to be more effective and to be more fully engaged. Have you ever been told that when you walk into a room, people can sense your presence? There are definitely people who bring themselves so fully to a moment, inhabiting it so completely that there is an energetic exchange that is undeniable. I know people who exhibit this quality, and they are a delight to be around. And there are others with the same quality, and they just make you want to run for cover. How do you choose to present yourself? The next time you have an opportunity to walk into a gathering, there's one person I'd recommend you bring with you. That would be your true self. You, without airs, without bluster, without shyness, without fear of inadequacy. There's a quote I want to give you here. This is from a gentleman named Dr. Rajiv Kurapati. He puts it this way. He said that our minds are always toggling between anticipating risk and cultivating hope. This is a natural process where we prepare for the future with lessons from the past. So, to be present, bring your open self, your non-judgmental self. Let this moment speak to you, not the whispered memories of past experiences or the vague wishes for the future. Excuse me. And we thought we'll sometimes use the terms that principle is greater than, how did I lose it? Precedence. There we go. Sorry about that. A little brain twinge. Right? Principle is greater than precedence, meaning that the things that are true in life, the things that are most substantial in life, are far more important than what might have happened in the past. All right. We have the ability, no kidding, we have the ability to choose how we want to move forward. And we take our experiences with us. Yes, we do. But to be limited by your experience and assume that it would always be the same, that's where we limit ourselves. Okay. Now, if indeed you do let the moment speak to you, right, I can guarantee that you will be more present. Now, can I guarantee you'll be joyously greeted and wonderfully treated? No, I can't guarantee that. But you'll be present, you'll be authentic, and that would be a great choice. Being able to live your life fully. Authenticity must be a part of that. I'd like to switch gears a little bit now. I want to talk about a different kind of presence. And it's one which has a tremendous importance in my life. Not about my being present, though. Not exactly. It's actually about my ability to be aware of a presence. The presence of loving spirit, of God in my life. For many years, I did not consider that God was actually part of my daily life. We weren't exactly on speaking terms, you know. I think it would be more accurate to say I wasn't on listening terms. I do believe that there were many times that God spoke to me in subtle and some not so subtle ways. But I didn't understand. I couldn't turn out the noise and the interference of my own doubts and fears well enough to listen. I know I spoke to someone, to something, often enough, mostly to complain or ask for something, but that never did bring any kind of a sense of communication or of connection. And then, fairly late in life, actually, I was gifted with something which has changed me in more ways than I could ever have imagined. I learned to practice the presence of God. I'll give you another quote here. This is from Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, religious science. And he says that practicing the presence is a conscious and continuous attempt to feel the divine presence in and through everything. It is constantly sustaining an interior awareness of God. Constantly sustaining an interior awareness of God. You know, there's a mantra that I've used many times before and during races, before and after surgery, before important meetings. And it was this very simple: I surrender to the power and the presence of God within me. I surrender to the power and the presence of God within me. Not God in a church or a mosque or a temple or a synagogue. And I'm not saying God isn't there, but I am saying God within me. I have come to understand, to know that loving spirit is not separate from me, not something or someone I need to find or invoke, but an integral part of not only my life, but of myself. By the way, if the word surrender gives you concern, rest assured, I am not talking about giving up. It's more like leveling up, about allowing yourself to recognize that being fully committed to being in the flow of life brings an astounding abundance. It brings grace and ease as I co-create my life experience. Someone say choice? Practicing the presence is it's a choice. Our choice to be present in our own lives, in the lives of friends and family, in the lives of those who challenge us, the ones who teach us the hard lessons. This is where we find an exquisite energy and vibrance. The best part of all that is, while we often do need to practice presence, it's not an insurmountable task. In fact, it's not really a task at all. Let me bring this up here. This is from Tara Brach, who says, presence is not some exotic state that we need to search for or manufacture. In the simplest terms, it is the felt sense of wakefulness, openness, and tenderness that arises when we are fully here and now with our experience. I love that. Shay says that she lets the sun so shine before her that when people see her, they see the experience, the presence. She said, I let the light so shine before me that when people see me, they see the presence. Indeed, absolutely true. Absolutely true. And when you get an opportunity to experience Shay, you'll see that for yourself. Okay, let me just finish a few things here. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so I want to leave you with this affirmation. Let me see, what did I do with it? There it is. Okay. All right, so take this in. Everything I perceive is my presence. Today, I look deeply into every moment and perceive divine presence. I recognize each circumstance as having a particular bearing on my soul, bringing about presence of mind and making manifest my own creative presence. And so it is. Well, that's going to do it for today, folks. I'd love to hear your thoughts around choice and presence. So by all means, have an opportunity, please do email me. There we go. You can email me at zodimuro@gmail.com. I always hold whatever you share with me in complete confidence. And while you're at it, what topics relating to choice would you like to explore in a future episode? Want to come on the show, discuss it? Be happy to do so. All right. Once again, email to zodimuro@gmail.com. There are tons and tons of wonderful shows out there today, folks. I don't have my list with me, but I can tell you most certainly that today at 12 noon Pacific time, 1 p.m. Mountain time, check out Finding the Joy in the Journey with Rev. Reverend Gina Calvario Krupka. Okay. Wonderful show. She has wonderful guests. So by all means, do what you can to find out as much as possible about the New Thought Media Network. If you have any questions, you can actually send us an email and request information. We'd be more than happy to help you with that. And I want you to go to ntmedia.org and look around. There's over 40 hours of the most magnificent programming there. Everything from meditation and discussion to prayer time, music, it's all there. Check it out. And if you have an opportunity to do so, if you could go to ntmedia.org/donate, help us bring all of this goodness to the widest possible audience. It would be a delight to have your support. Well, folks, that'll do it for today. I hope that what you have heard gives you a reason to think, a reason to consider how choice, your creative superpower, can enhance your ability to be present, and how your enhanced presence can create greater opportunities, more choices, and a more fulfilling life, not only for you, but for all. I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Muro.